Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are tackling a mystery that has probably driven you crazy at some point. Why is academic writing so incredibly tough? We're going to demystify this by looking at the fascinating evolution of how university writing is actually understood and taught. If you've ever stared at a blank page and felt entirely lost, even though you know you're a great student, well, you are definitely in the right place.
Let's just jump right in with the million-dollar question almost every student asks. Why do genuinely smart, capable students suddenly hit a massive wall when they're asked to write at the university level? It's a phenomenon that's baffled educators for decades, and the answer fundamentally changes how we view education itself.
Take a look at this quote on the screen. It perfectly hits the nail on the head. The real issue isn't just about sitting down and writing one generic paper. Imagine a first-year nursing student. In a single day, they are rapidly switching between entirely different types of documents and contexts. A sociology essay requires a completely different mindset, vocabulary, and structure than a clinical case study or a reflective journal. Talk about cognitive whiplash. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the university writing struggle. Move to the traditional study skills model. Explore the flaws in that fix-it approach. Introduce the academic literacies model, talk about navigating new academic identities, and finally, wrap up with why this all actually matters for you.
All right, part one, the university writing struggle, and why the so-called quick fix is just an illusion.
Moving into part two, let's look at the traditional approach, the study skills model. For a long time, educators really leaned on this model. Rooted heavily in behavioral psychology, this approach basically treats writing like a machine. The idea was that writing is just a set of atomized, mechanical rules. And hey, once you memorize those rules, you can easily transfer and apply them anywhere, whether you're writing a history paper or a biology lab report.
This slide shows what researchers call a deficit model. Basically, if you were struggling to write, this model assumed there was a deficit in you, like a glitch or pathology that just needed fixing. The solution? Just drill grammar, practice spelling, learn citation rules, and boom, problems solved. It essentially treated students like broken engines that just needed the right technical manual to run properly.
But as we'll see in section 3, there are some massive flaws in this simple fix-it mentality.
Researchers like Ann Johns and Ruth Spack quickly realized that pinning down general academic skills is, well, pretty much impossible. Why? Because writing isn't homogeneous. Remember our nursing student? A sociology paper demands a completely different approach to evidence and voice than a clinical report. The whole idea that there's one universal paint-by-numbers academic English that works across all subjects is a total myth. Generic skills just don't cut it.
And this realization was a real game changer. Instead of viewing a university as one giant unified school, researchers like Beecher started looking at different disciplines as distinct tribes. I mean, think about it. The physics department and the literature department are practically different planets. They have completely different values, ways of arguing, and standards for what counts as truth. This led to a middle ground theory called academic socialization, where the goal became acculturating students into these specific tribes. So take a look at this comparison, because this direct juxtaposition is absolutely crucial. On the left, we are moving away from the study skills model, which treats writing as a generic toolbox of grammar rules meant to fix a student's deficit. And on the right, we're moving toward the academic literacies model. Here, writing is seen as a complex passport that you use to navigate entirely new cultures, negotiate your identity, and make meaning in very specific, context-driven ways. Which brings us to section 4, the academic literacies model, the modern standard we use today. Pioneering researchers Mary Lee and Brian Street are the ones who developed this model. And what's really brilliant is that it encapsulates the older models but elevates student writing to the level of epistemology, which is the study of how we understand knowledge itself and institutional power. It recognizes that universities aren't just neutral places where you absorb facts. They are complex institutions heavily patterned by authority and layered expectations. Check out this super short quote from Brian Street. "Literacy is something we do." It sounds simple, but it represents a massive paradigm shift. Literacy is no longer viewed as a static thing you just receive from a teacher, like a package of grammar rules. Instead, it is an active, ongoing social practice. It's an action. It's something you do in real time, interacting with other people and systems. Because it's a social practice, the academic literacies model totally acknowledges that you are constantly forced to switch gears depending on the field. You're not just learning to write,
You are actively negotiating conflicting expectations from different professors. You are handling the uneven power dynamics between yourself as a novice and the institution as the authority. You are constantly adapting your language practices just to survive in different academic environments. And that leads right into Section 5, navigating new academic identities.
Entering university isn't just about memorizing facts to pass a test. It actually forces you to make a profound cultural shift. To write successfully for a specific discipline, you basically have to adopt the values and beliefs of that community. And honestly, for a lot of students, that can feel like trying on a completely alien identity.
Look at this quote from James Gee. It's a bit stark, but he points out that if you don't sound like a scientist in a lab report, that community is going to see you as an outsider, a pretender. This can cause some really deep ideological conflicts. You might find yourself typing a paper wondering, who even am I in this text? Why am I being forced to use this stuffy, passive voice when it feels so unnatural to me? That right there is the struggle of identity negotiation happening in real time. All right, let's wrap this up with Section 6, why this matters for your own learning journey.
So, taking a look at this overarching framework, you can see how the academic literacies model takes a hierarchical view. It incorporates those basic study skills and socialization models, but it vastly expands on them. Understanding this is a huge relief because it means we can finally stop treating student writing struggles as personal failures. If you're struggling, you probably don't have a grammar deficit. You're just wrestling with the unspoken, complex rules of a new academic culture. To really thrive, you've got to see your learning as these 3 connected steps. First, yes, you do need to master the basic mechanics. The grammar toolbox is definitely still important. But then, step 2, you have to go further and learn the unique culture of your specific academic tribe. And ultimately, step 3, you need to consciously navigate the identity and power shifts that every single unique assignment demands of you. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time you're staring down a blank document getting ready to write, don't just ask yourself, what are the grammar rules for this? Ask yourself, which academic tribe am I speaking to right now, and what identity must I project so they'll actually listen? Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer, and hey, happy writing!